Imagine standing before a medieval lord. He doesn't ask your name. He doesn't request credentials. Instead, his eyes sweep over you, your hair, your skin, your hands, your clothes. In seconds, he has judged you. Are you noble or common? Trustworthy or dangerous? Holy or heretical? In the Middle Ages, appearance was not vanity. It was language, and grooming was the grammar that determined whether you rose in society or fell into obscurity. Let's pull back the veil on medieval grooming, where every strand of hair, every scrubbed fingernail, and every carefully trimmed beard carried meaning that could change your life forever. In medieval Europe, your face was your introduction. Before you uttered a single word, people read your features like a manuscript. Smooth skin suggested nobility and leisure. Rough, weathered skin marked you as a laborer who toiled under the sun. Scars told stories, some honorable, others shameful. A battle scar on a knight's cheek brought respect. A pox scar on a beggar's face brought suspicion and distance. The church taught that physical beauty reflected inner virtue, a belief inherited from ancient philosophy. Saints in paintings glowed with flawless skin and serene expressions. Sinners were depicted with twisted features and blemishes. This wasn't just art, it was ideology. People genuinely believed that outer ugliness mirrored spiritual corruption. Lepers, their faces ravaged by disease, were not just sick. They were seen as marked by God's displeasure, exiled from society and forced to wear bells to warn others of their approach. Yet beauty standards were complex and contradictory. Pale skin was prized among the wealthy, proof that you didn't labor outdoors. Women used powders made from white lead and chalk to achieve ghostly complexions, unknowingly poisoning themselves. Rosy cheeks were desirable, achieved through pinching or rouge made from crushed insects and plant dyes. Men, too, cared about appearance. A strong jawline, clear eyes, and healthy teeth signaled vitality and good breeding. Your face was your fortune or your curse. Hair was perhaps the most powerful symbol of all. Its length, style, and cleanliness announced your gender, status, and even your morals. For women, long hair was sacred. It represented femininity, modesty, and marriageability. Unmarried maidens wore their hair loose or in simple braids. Married women covered their hair with veils or wimples, hiding it from public view as a sign of propriety and submission. To appear with uncovered hair after marriage was scandalous, suggesting loose morals or worse. For men, hair was equally coded. Nobles and knights kept their hair relatively long, often shoulder length, groomed and sometimes perfumed. This required time and resources, a luxury the poor couldn't afford. Peasants kept hair shorter and rougher, cut crudely with knives or shears. Monks took it further, shaving their heads in the distinctive tonsure, a circle of bare scalp symbolizing their renunciation of worldly vanity and their devotion to God. The style of tonsure even varied by religious order, each with its own meaning, but hair could also mark you as dangerous. The wild, unkempt hair of hermits and madmen signaled disconnection from society. Vikings and other barbarians were depicted with long, flowing hair and beards, symbols of their supposed savagery. When William the Conqueror's Normans invaded England in 1066, the clean-shaven Norman style clashed violently with Anglo-Saxon traditions of beards and longer hair. Appearance became political identity. Cleanliness of hair mattered too. Lice were universal, infesting rich and poor alike. Combing through hair to remove lice was a daily ritual, often performed by servants for the wealthy or family members for the poor. Special fine-toothed combs made of bone or wood were prized possessions. Still, lice were so common that they were accepted as part of life. Some even believed that lice indicated a warm temperament, a sign of vitality rather than filth. The beard was not just facial hair. It was a statement of manhood, authority, and sometimes heresy. In early medieval Europe, beards were universally worn by free men. To have a full, well-groomed beard showed maturity and respectability. To be clean-shaven was boyish, effeminate, or worse, a mark of slavery in some cultures. Ancient Germanic tribes swore oaths on their beards. To touch another man's beard without permission was an insult worthy of blood feud. The church complicated matters. At different times and places, clergy were expected to be clean-shaven to distinguish themselves from laymen. Byzantine priests kept beards as marks of holiness, while Western clergy shaved. This created theological and cultural tensions. When the Great Schism split Christianity in 1054, beards were among the symbolic differences cited between East and West. Fashions shifted with politics. Norman rulers in England promoted the clean-shaven look as civilized and Roman, opposing the bearded Anglo-Saxons. To grow or shave your beard wasn't just grooming, it was choosing sides. Knights on crusade often let their beards grow as vows, pledging not to shave until Jerusalem was liberated. A returning crusader's beard was evidence of his holy service. For Muslim men in medieval Islamic lands, the beard was religiously significant, encouraged by tradition as following the Prophet's example. Jewish men also maintained beards as religious observance. When these cultures intersected during the Crusades and through trade, beards became markers not just of masculinity, but of faith itself. To shave or not to shave could mean acceptance or rejection of an entire worldview. Contrary to popular myth, medieval people did bathe, though frequency and methods varied wildly by class and era. The early Middle Ages inherited Roman bathing culture. Public bathhouses existed in many cities, places where people gathered to wash, socialize, and conduct business. These bathhouses were often segregated by gender or had designated days for men and women. Hot water, steam, and even primitive saunas were available. Bathing was not just about cleanliness, it was about community and health. However, the church viewed bathhouses with suspicion. Mixed bathing led to accusations of immorality. Bathhouses became associated with prostitution and sin. By the later Middle Ages, many had been closed or heavily regulated. The Black Death in the 14th century further reduced bathing doctors, misunderstanding disease transmission, warned that open pores from hot baths allowed pestilence to enter the body. Suddenly, bathing became dangerous. Still, people washed. Nobles had servants bring basins of water to their chambers for washing hands, faces, and occasionally full baths in wooden tubs. Herbs like lavender, rose, and chamomile were added for fragrance and supposed medicinal benefits. Bathing before major events, weddings, religious ceremonies, knighting remained important rituals. Knights bathed before their vigil, symbolizing spiritual and physical purification. Peasants bathed less frequently due to lack of resources. Heating water was labor-intensive and fuel was expensive. Cold river baths in summer were common, but winter bathing was rare. Instead, people relied on dry cleaning methods, rubbing skin with linen cloths, changing undergarments, and using strong-smelling herbs to mask odors. The smell of medieval society was pungent, a mix of sweat, smoke, animals, and herbal attempts at freshness. Soap existed in the Middle Ages, though not as we know it today. Medieval soap was made from animal fats and wood ash lye, creating a harsh, grayish substance used primarily for laundry and occasionally for bathing. It was caustic, rough on skin, and not widely available to the poor. Wealthier households could afford better versions made with olive oil. Castile soap from Spain was particularly prized for its gentleness. For daily grooming, people used oils more than soap. Olive oil in the Mediterranean, animal fats in the north. These were rubbed into skin and hair to soften, protect, and cleanse. Herbs were infused into oils for fragrance: rosemary, mint, thyme. Perfumes, rare and expensive, were imported from the East: rosewater, musk, amber. Only the wealthy could afford such luxuries. For everyone else, fresh herbs stuffed into clothing or rubbed on skin sufficed. Teeth were cleaned with cloths, sometimes dipped in salt, wine, or herbal mixtures. Toothpicks made from wood or bird feathers removed food debris. Bad breath was combated with chewing herbs like mint, fennel, or cloves. Dental problems were rampant decay, abscesses, tooth loss. The medieval obsession with grooming and appearance laid foundations for modern beauty culture. The idea that looks reflect character persists. However irrational we still judge, resumes with photos more favorably if the candidate is attractive. We still associate cleanliness with morality, roughness with danger. Medieval people understood something we often forget. Appearance is communication. In a world without identification documents, without social media profiles, your body was your introduction, your resume, your reputation. Grooming wasn't vanity, it was survival strategy. Every shave, every combed hair, every washed hand was an argument for your place in the world. Today, we have more tools, cosmetics, surgeries, digital filters, but the anxiety remains. We still wonder, am I presentable? Will they accept me? The medieval mirror reflects our own faces, asking the same questions across centuries. Grooming was never just about beauty. It was about belonging, about being seen as human, about claiming your space in a world that judged ruthlessly and forgave rarely. The medieval world taught us this. Appearances are never just appearances. They are power made visible.